Am I the a-hole for not letting it go when my sister-in-law's boyfriend told me, let's get one thing clear, I don't need to justify my actions to you? This situation happened back in May of 2025, so keep that in mind. However, it has been brought up again, which is why I am posting. I would be so happy if at least one person reads all of this and gives advice. Me, 21F, had been with my fiancé, 25M, for about 3 years when this situation occurred. I genuinely felt like I had built good relationships with his immediate family, his mom, his dad, his sister, 26, etc. I'm someone each of these people has heavily relied on to help with doing their taxes, keeping their car insurance up to date, helping with school assignments, both the mom and sister were in school, etc. I never said no to any request or need. Edit for context, for everyone not understanding me helping out, please read this. You have to keep in mind that my fiancé's family is Hispanic, and I am the only person who is fluent in English. None of them were born in the US, only me. Not even my fiancé is fluent. So, it was natural for them to ask me for help and rely on me for everything. I'm also not great at saying no, especially to people I think care about me. So I took on more and more. I do not care that he helped. In fact, I wish she received more help from others, like her other kids, so I would not be the go-to person she asks, and so I would not feel bad saying no. Because if I say no, she has no one to help her. I'm happy she has someone other than me to help, because I am not doing it anymore after everything. The time came when my fiancé and I were going to move states for our jobs. Around that time, my sister-in-law, 26F, introduced us to her new boyfriend of 1 week, a male, 40M. The age gap worried me because my parents had an identical age gap, and it is precisely what tore them apart over time. However, I kept that opinion to myself and supported their relationship. When we met him, I liked him. I thought he had a good sense of humor and seemed nice. Around 4 months later, I was shocked when things went sideways. There is a smaller situation that happened with him before this one. Let me know in the comments if you want me to explain it. My mother-in-law asked me to help her find a new laptop. So I FaceTimed her, and we talked for about an hour going over pricing and options. Finally, we settled on the 2025 MacBook Air M4. She was only going to use it for browsing, taking notes, and light schoolwork, so I recommended the one with standard storage and RAM. This would save her close to $500 on a computer she was already paying $1,000 for, especially because I share 2 terabytes of iCloud storage with her that I personally pay for. So we went with that option, and I ordered it. A few days later, she was talking on the phone with my fiancé when she asked him to pass the phone so she could tell me something. She told me that my sister-in-law's boyfriend said the laptop I picked was an older 2024 model, which is not true. Based on that, he canceled the order I had placed and took her to buy a different one, which ended up being essentially the same laptop, just with more RAM and storage. So she spent more money for no real reason. I was not initially angry, just annoyed, because I had done the work and spent the time with my mother-in-law to arrive at that choice. Also, he said he canceled it because it was an old model. However, I had the order confirmation with the model number to prove that was not the case. So, to me, it was a big misunderstanding that led to my mother-in-law paying $1,500 for the computer instead of $1,000. Yes, she got more RAM and storage, but she will not need it. Based on her level of technological ability, she will probably only use about 10% of the computer's capabilities in the first place, so the extra money felt wasteful. And she is not rich. So, I decided that since he is someone in the family, I would reach out to him in a text to let him know there must have been a misunderstanding. I explained that the one I ordered is the same one he took her to get, and I asked that in the future, if it is something I already helped with, he please reach out to me so we can talk and avoid misunderstandings. He responded with some computer specs, and I replied with proof that what I ordered was correct. Once I sent the proof, he responded with, let's get one thing clear, I don't need to justify my actions to you. If you have a problem with the decision, take it up with mother-in-law. My jaw dropped. I was not expecting that type of reply and honestly felt disrespected. I replied, saying that I had approached him respectfully, so I would like the same in return. I also clarified that I was not asking him to justify anything, I just wanted to avoid future misunderstandings. He left that message undelivered and refused to address it. Edit, this is the same guy who, months before, called me while I was at work to yell at me because the Airbnb I booked for 8 people, including himself, for my mother-in-law's birthday did not allow pets. It was free for everyone, by the way. I paid for it all. I did not even know he had a pet and just assumed that, at his age, he would know someone to watch his pet or would hire someone to check in. It was one night. So he yelled at me while I was at work and asked me to justify that choice, when it was a free stay for him. How would I have known? Little did I know, He immediately went to my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and father-in-law to complain about my texts. He twisted it to fit his narrative, making it seem like I wanted him to give me a rundown every time he does anything. I found this out when I received a text later that night from my mother-in-law, saying I did not have to get upset and go off on him. I never did that, but I replied saying I did not know what she meant. In fact, I told her that I felt disrespected by him. At that point, she would not hear me. My fiancé tried to address it with her and his sister, but they defended him. They said his message was not disrespectful and questioned why I even texted him in the first place. She also said we were misunderstanding his tone. All of this while I have the receipts. I feel like I am going crazy. Am I in the wrong? Was he not disrespectful? Should I let it go? Also, there is more that happened after. Edit for what happened after. Basically, after the situation, my fiancé reached out directly to him to explain that my intentions were not to get him to justify anything and that his comment was overly aggressive and not okay. That message was left undelivered. 6 months went by with complete silence, no outreach for birthdays, nothing. No effort to clear the air. Then came the time for my mother-in-law's graduation from nursing school. I was not going to let that stop us from going, so I decided to attend, be cordial, and engage in a group setting, but not directly with him. When we were there, he approached me, we are all Hispanic, partially wrapped me in a hug, and went to kiss my cheek. I quietly said, "No, thank you." I did not say it loudly because I did not want to cause a scene. I simply did not feel comfortable being touched or kissed by someone who had disrespected me and left things unresolved for 6 months. No one witnessed this. At the end of our trip, while we were at the airport, my fiancé received a text from my mother-in-law saying that he had gone to my father-in-law and told him I did not accept his hug and kiss. From there, my father-in-law told my mother-in-law. The message basically said that I was not being mature and that him coming to hug me was him being the bigger person. The message hurt because it was clearly intended to be behind my back, but my fiancé shared it with me. If anything, I knew I would be uncomfortable, and I still showed up and did not cause any issues. Yet somehow, I was the problem again because I did not want to be kissed. In response, my fiancé scheduled a call with him. The call lasted 5 minutes. He would not let my fiancé speak at all, so my fiancé asked if he could finish his points because he would not be able to if he kept interrupting. The boyfriend responded that my fiancé should get a pen and paper and take notes if he could not keep up. My fiancé replied that that comment was a zocotada in Spanish, I am not sure of the exact translation. The guy then hung up and said to call him back when he was man enough. After that, my fiancé said he is not speaking to him anymore because there is no reasoning with someone who behaves like that. New update. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who read my original post and offered feedback and advice. I honestly did not think anyone would be willing to read all of that computer specification information, but I appreciate it so much. When you are dealing with an entire family pointing the finger at you when you had the best intentions, you start to feel a little crazy. So all the comments really helped me feel grounded in my decision. As for the actions of my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and sister-in-law, I absolutely agree that a lot of true colors were shown. Me going and refusing the hug and kiss happened back in December. Since then, I have not visited and have distanced myself significantly. In fact, so has my fiancé. Of course, he still speaks to his parents, but he has not spoken to his sister since then. When asked for help, I have simply directed my mother-in-law to others and explained that I am very busy. This was essentially a wake-up call for me to stop pouring so much into others who, frankly, do not have my back, even in obvious situations. My mother raised me to believe that love is earned, which made me someone who goes above and beyond to be loved. I am working on that, and I am proud of myself for realizing that it is not healthy. While my nature is to be helpful and generous, I need to learn that there is a healthy balance. As for the 40-year-old, now 41, I am not engaging and will not continue giving him fuel that he can twist. Defending myself further would only give him more material to manipulate, especially since he is local to my in-laws and has already shown he has no issue gossiping. As many of you mentioned, it is a complete waste of time. However, I do worry about my sister-in-law. I cannot help but feel concerned that this may be a tactic to isolate her. He already moved her in with him when she had been living with her parents, and now both her brother and I are no longer in contact in the same way. That said, she is an adult and has the right to remain in her relationship as long as she chooses. I just hope she is happy and being treated well, although it is hard to know given the circumstances. As for my wedding, it is planned for late August. Many of you know I am no contact with 95% of my own family, and initially, I was planning a wedding mainly for his family. However, this situation reminded me to stay true to myself and make a decision that both my fiancé and I are comfortable with. We decided to elope somewhere beautiful with only an officiant and a photographer. No one in his family knows yet, and we are not open to discussing or debating that decision. For us, the love we share and the moment itself matter more than a large wedding. That said, we do agree that having a party afterward with friends and family would be nice, so we plan to do that in September. My sister-in-law will be invited to that party, but she will not receive A+1. I am not expecting that to go over well, but I will not allow myself to feel uncomfortable at my own wedding celebration. Thanks again to everyone who shared advice. I read every comment.